Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Mojito with Majeeto, episode 8. And I'm joined with a fellow legendary comic book men member, aka Ming Chen. What's up, man?
What's up, Majeeto? It's great to see you again, my friend. Really great to see you. I'm glad we can make this work out. It's an honor being on your show, my friend.
It's an honor to have you. How are you, man? It's so nice to have you on the show, and it's really great to speak to you again. I remember we met at Chronicon. It was really nice that you messaged me, and I felt so honored that someone like you messaged me. And it was so lovely to meet you, and we had a great chat at Chronicon.
No, yeah, I love you, man. You came from such a far distance. You had so much enthusiasm and energy, and this is what I think the Kevin Smith fan base is about. So,
Yeah,
no
totally.
boundaries, no distance too far, but you made it happen. You came many thousands of miles to Chicago for Chronicon. I really love that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, totally. Now, Comic Book Man, I'm ashamed to say I am a late fan of the show, but I found the entire show on iTunes and I did watch it after meeting you. But it is genuinely one of my all-time favorite shows, honestly, and it's such a lovely and comfort show for me. And did you have any idea that an unscripted show like Comic Book Man would have the impact it had, and it would have been as big as it became?
No, first of all, thank you for that compliment. Coming from a man wearing a Dexter shirt, that's a pretty huge compliment.
Yeah,
So you're a man of fine taste. You love great TV, and
thank
if you're
you.
putting us up anywhere near Dexter, that's pretty cool. Second of all, yeah, I didn't. I had a lot of doubts about this show. I had no idea it would be as big as it did. So basically, one day Kevin texts me. He's like, "Hey, this is gonna sound really weird, but they want to shoot a TV show at the Secret Stash at Kevin's comic book shop." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Your shop is really cool. You should be on TV. This is gonna be a great show." He's like, "No, no, you don't understand. The show, they want you and Walt and Brian and Mike on the show. Like that's what the show's gonna be about." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? We're not actors. We're just a bunch of knuckleheads. Why would they want to put us on TV?" And he's like, "I know it sounds weird, but because The Walking Dead got big, they want more comic book stuff." I've been talking to him. I think this might actually happen. And back then Kevin smoked a lot of weed, right? So I just thought he was really high. So I didn't really. I
Yeah,
brushed it off. But yeah, a couple months later, they had TV cameras in there. And then a couple months after that, we started shooting the TV show. It was very crazy. And I was like, okay, maybe they'll make a TV show, but we'll be canceled after like 3 episodes. My thought was, who's gonna watch four old guys in a comic book shop arguing about comic books and TV and movies and the Force and flux capacitors and lightsabers? Like I thought those were arguments we had, but no one else would listen to them. But luckily, I was wrong, my friend. I guess what I didn't realize that there are a lot of guys out there like us having the same arguments, and I think they related to the show, and that's why people watched it. It was I had no idea. I had no idea that outside of I guess our nerd bubble, outside the store,
yeah,
that people had those kind of conversations. So it's pretty cool that people watched it and really liked it. Guys like you, that really makes me happy.
wow. I mean, on the show, you guys had some amazing people come to the store, and you guys even made your own comic book as well, and you just do so much crazy and fun stuff. Out of all of those kinds of things, what was your personal favorite thing that you did on Comic Book Man that was like that?
Favorite personal favorite moment. I mean, number one, and this has got to be the biggest. But we got to meet Stan Lee. Stan Lee
Yeah,
came in twice, not once, twice. He liked us so much he came back. That was pretty huge because Stan Lee kind of created my whole world. Actually created the world for almost everybody. Yeah, if you've liked any character in the Marvel universe, chances are Stanley created it. So Spider-Man, X-Men, most of the Avengers, whatever, he created most of it, and I truly think he made the world a more fun place, a better place, and I think Stanley will live on forever. But to meet the guy, that was pretty huge. That was pretty huge. Um, to meet the guy who created everything that I know and love, my whole world was pretty cool. And then so everybody was like, "Well, what was he like? Was it cool? Like, what is it like meeting Stan Lee?" And it was pretty amazing. Stan Lee is exactly that guy you've seen in the movies or TV, that Excelsior and
Yeah.
face front, true believer. That's him. That's him. And we got the first time he came in, we got to hang out with him for 4 hours. We had lunch with him. I found out that every day for lunch he eats an egg salad sandwich and a strawberry milkshake. So,
Oh,
and he lived until 94, 95. So that
yeah.
might be the secret to long life. Every day,
Yeah.
egg sandwich, strawberry milkshake. So that was my favorite. That was probably my If you tell me, one of my most favorite moments, that one was it. My favorite thing that came in the stores, we bought and sold a lot of things, comics, toys. I'm a big GI Joe fan, and my favorite thing that came in was the big 7-foot aircraft carrier toy called the USS Flag.
Yeah, I
That was a
remember
toy
that.
I'd wanted for like 30 years, and I never got it. But on the show, and I really bought it. I actually bought it, so that was one of my favorite moments. Um, yeah, I mean, I got to do so much, man. I got to drive the Batmobile. I got to drive the Black Beauty. All those things. Yeah, I love the vehicles. I got to go on a zombie run. I mean, we did so much. Like you said before, we launched a comic book. We had our own Funko Pop figures. Like that's
Yeah. For the
and the list
pandemic.
goes on and on. Like I really lucked out. I'm really a lucky guy.
I honestly really loved it whenever Jay or Kevin came to the store, or whenever you guys have those like what if scenarios or those types of arguments. I found those really funny.
Yeah, and that's pretty much if you watch the show, even before the show, when I met Walt and Brian, a majority of our conversations they're all what if questions. Now the ones we have between each other a little dirtier than on the show, because Brian Johnson can't help himself. But yeah, a majority, yeah, it really is like yeah, they're always like, well, what if you went back in time, you fell in love, and your mom fell in love with you, like in Back to the Future, but then it goes way off the rails with those two. So, or yeah, what if you could stop this, or what if this happened? Yeah, a lot of our real life conversations between each other they're all stupid what if questions.
As a fellow comic book lover such as yourself, how do you feel about the current state of modern comics and comic book movies and shows?
It's tough. It gets this question all the time. Comic book comics themselves, we're in a weird place. They're still very popular, but I think the number of people actually going to comic book shops is decreased, and that's just simply for the fact that I think we live in a world where you don't have to leave your house anymore. If you want food, they can deliver it. If you need household items, they can deliver it. If you need anything random, you just go on Amazon and get it in one day. And then comics themselves, if you want comics, you just get them digitally and read them on your phone or iPad. So to get people to actually go to a store and buy a physical book, it takes effort. It takes effort. So, meaning you really have to have a great storyline or great artwork. I myself prefer owning physical copies of a comic book because I don't like I like reading the digital ones, but you don't really own them.
Yeah, exactly,
People are
exactly.
always like, would you rather have a digital copy of Hulk 181, or would you want a physical copy? Well, obviously, I want the physical copy. One, because it's a cool comic. Two, it's worth like $7,000 now, so I'd rather have the physical copy. So, yeah, I think it's a tough business right now. Actually selling comic books to people. But with that in mind, a lot of comic books they're commodities now. They're worth money. And
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy to see, go to a comic book show, and you'll see comics, 10,000, 18,000, $24,000 just up on the rack for people to buy. We have the grading system now where those kind of books aren't really comics anymore. They're valuables.
yeah,
They're like gold bricks, and they're encased in plastic, so you can't really read them anymore. So it's a weird thing where, for me, a comic book should be enjoyed and read, and it's a writer put so much blood into a storyline. But on the other hand, they encase it in plastic so you can't read it anymore, and it's worth way more than the paper it's printed on. Yeah, we're in a very weird time right now. So it's kind of it's kind of weird trying to find a balance between the two.
But
But
can't you
that
like
being
a little
said,
bit of both?
yeah, yeah. I do have some graded comics just because why not? But I go back and I read, I read graphic novels too. I'm in it for the stories, but yeah. That being said, I think the stories and the artwork still really, really good right now. It's just we're in this weird place, especially after COVID. I think a lot of people stopped going to comic book shops as well. So, yeah, I think something has to happen to bring more people back and actually buying books in stores. The movies have been pretty good for that. I think a lot of people watch the movies and they want to learn more about the characters, so they'll go to the comic book shop, and that's where the comic book shop owner, whoever's behind the counter, is a good thing, because a lot of people who haven't read comics in a while or at all, then go to the stores like, hey, I just saw the movie. Can you show me which comic books they talk about in the movie? Which runs did they reference in the movies? And that's where the clerk's like, oh, let me go get those for you, or here's the backstory, here's the origin story. So that's why I love the local comic book shop so much, because they can point you in that direction.
Have you seen the latest Captain America film?
I haven't. I was at a Comic-Con this weekend, and I didn't get to go yet. But I'm looking for. I'll probably go this week. Yeah. I mean, I've been looking forward to seeing Red Hulk on the movie screen for a while. It's pretty cool that Harrison Ford is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. It was only a matter of time, I guess.
Yeah.
For sure. And yeah, and I just saw the new Fantastic Four trailer. I saw Gary Oldman is in it, and they're like, "What took you so long? Why why haven't you been in any other Marvel movies before? You're like the best actor of our time. Why haven't you been in?" And yeah, he flat out, he was like, yeah, they weren't going to pay me enough. So I love it. He's like, yeah, the money wasn't good enough until I guess they ponied up the money. So that's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
Gary Oldman. Give him whatever he wants.
I think Red Hulk was the best part of Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah,
incredible.
it's tough. I mean, I haven't seen it. I've heard some mixed reviews. I think people just miss Chris Evans. He's
Yeah.
Captain America.
I know you're a con lover also, and you love going to Comic Cons, and you've even stated it yourself on Comic Book Man. So, out of every single con you've attended in your life, what is your all-time favorite one? Like the experience and the
Oh
people you met?
man, I mean that's a tough question. I think I've probably gone to anywhere between 300 and 400 conventions at this
Oh
point. I've been
wow!
doing them for about 11 years. I mean, so the big huge ones like San Diego and New York, those are fun, but they're chaotic. But even the small ones in maybe a smaller city, and it's just a hotel ballroom, those are great as well. It just depends on how they're run and who shows up, and because fun doesn't have to be like big, huge, and chaotic. Fun can be small and focused as well. There's so many cons I go to that I love. Like the one I just got back from was in Pensacola, Florida,
Yeah, yeah,
and that one's fun. They always invite like 100 guests, and I like the people they invite are not only current stars but some people from my childhood as well. So that one's fun. There's great bars and restaurants there. I go to a con in Houston called Comic Palooza. I've been going there for 10 years. I'll be going back for my 11th this year. That one's also fun. I have family in the area, so my family comes out and hangs out with me there. So that makes that one fun. Probably the farthest one that I've gone to though is I got to go to a con in Dubai in
yeah.
2023. That one was great. I never thought my fandom would take me to such a far and awesome place, but I had fun. I got to hang out with Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead, or he plays the
Yeah.
Red Skull in the Marvel movies. We're both partiers. We both like to leave our hotel, so I got to hang out there with him, which was pretty cool. That one's fun. Yeah, they're all over. And sometimes the con is fun, but the city the con is in is also fun. So any convention in the city of Chicago, I love going to. I love going out afterwards to the city. So a convention like C2E2 is great. Chronicon was awesome. Chronicon
Amazing.
was great. I think I talked to everybody who went there. Like not one person had a bad time. I think everybody got to meet whoever they wanted to meet, got to spend time with them. The panels were great. Me and Brian did karaoke. Like everything was so much fun, and I haven't seen an announcement. I think they're going to do another one again this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. But I mean, fandom, big, small, it doesn't matter if you run one like Kevin did for Chronicon, where he hung out it's just a good vibe. That's all that really matters.
Now, I'm sure all of us comic book man fans are wondering, like, what happened to the OG comic book man crew after the cancellation of comic book man?
Yeah, so if you look here, I'm actually in my podcast studio.
Yeah.
So I actually built 2 podcast studios, not that far from the store. The store I can actually walk there now, and I rent them out by the hour to podcasters. So basically, I'm helping people launch and create podcasts. I took a page out of Kevin's book. Kevin was like, find out what you love to do and see if you can make a living out of it. I was like, well, I love podcasting. So this is something very new that we came up with. And the podcast studio is called The Shared Universe.
Yeah.
And that's what I do now. But I'm still in the store. I can walk there right now. I could be there in 5 minutes. Mike Zapsik, he's full-time manager now. He's running the store down the street here in New Jersey. So Mike got a promotion. He's running the store. Walt and Brian have a very successful podcast called Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Yeah.
And they're doing so well that they're both able to do it for a living. They're both able to live off of it. So, and that's a podcast that I pop in every so often. Usually when they need to make fun of me, they'll invite me on. So it's very much like Comic Book Man. It's still our lives are not that different from the actual show.
But what happened when, after the show finished? Like, how did you guys part ways? Or did you
I mean, it was kind of, I was around for a while, but then I was like, what do I want to do now? And so I was like, I just want to open up I want a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, how do I podcast? How do you keep podcasting and make money? I was like, well, you should open up that studio you've been thinking about. So that's what I did. It just kind of happened over the course of a couple of years where we found out what we wanted to do afterwards. That being said, I was hoping the show would just go on forever, right? Like that was what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But all good things come to an end, I guess. A lot of people ask though, is like, hey, you think you guys will come back? Like, do you think you'll come back? I haven't heard anything, but anything happen, and you see how they're bringing back all the old stuff now. Karate Kid, like a Cobra Kai, literally everything they're bringing back. So I think if we just wait a little while longer, they'll run out of ideas, and they'll be like, hey, what happened to those 4 guys in that comic book show? Are they still around? Like, let's bring them back. So all I got to do is wait it out until then, I think. Until then. So my life is basically, I run the studio here on the weekdays and I go to Comic-Cons on weekends. It's a pretty good life. I'm pretty lucky.
But wouldn't it feel weird a bit, like now that they have a bigger crew at the new Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash? If they
you would think so, but I think like within 2 minutes, we Brian would start making fun of me. Walt would say something stupid, and Mike would be Mike. I think we would fall right back into it. I don't think it'd be that different. And then Kevin will be Kevin. Jay will come in every so often, and probably now that we're a little more well known, we've been out there for a while. We could probably get even bigger guest stars. Like maybe Harrison Ford will come on this time.
Yeah.
We've always wanted like Mark Hamill to come on the show. Maybe we could get Scarlett Johansson to stop in for a little bit. Who knows, man? That would be pretty cool.
So Jay and Kevin they're so lovely, and I even had them on for Mojito with Majeeto for episode 5 and 6. And I know you're longtime friends with them, and you're even in some of their movies as well. So I'm curious, how did you become friends with them, and would you like to make more appearances in movies like the next Jay and Silent Bob?
First of all, congratulations on scoring both of them. They're very hard to get, but
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, that's a big statement on you, my friend, that you got them on. I talked to Kevin, but that often he's never been on my podcast, so or maybe for a little bit, but yeah, not like that. Kevin, I met basically because I was a fan. I met Kevin because after I saw the movie Clerks, I made a Clerks fan website, and he saw it and he called me. That was it.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool. Yeah, sometimes or most of the times, if you're a really big fan of something, cool stuff will happen, and to me it did. So Kevin saw the fan website. He thought it was really good. Asked me to work with them, and they ended up hiring me a couple years later. Through Kevin, I met Jay though. So I mean, I knew Jay from the movies, so I was already a fan. But when I met him, I saw how wacky and he's a crazy guy, man. You saw him in person. You got to
Yeah.
saw him in person, and you got to interview him. He's a
Yeah,
pretty crazy guy. He's just such a fun-loving guy too. So I met Jay through Kevin. So I guess I've known Kevin since 1996 now, 95,
wow.
96. So 30 years. I've known Kevin for 30 years, man. That's crazy. And Jay pretty much for the same amount of time. So, I mean, to me, there's still Jay and Silent Bob most of the time. But yeah, man, we've known each other a long time. I can't believe that much time has passed. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Would you like to make any appearances in the next movies?
Oh yeah, yeah. So Kevin's working on the next Jay and Silent Bob movie. He says it's going to be the last one. So far, Kevin's put me in the last like 3 movies he's done. So
Yeah.
hopefully this is a trend. Listen, as a fan, I started as a fan, 'cause I saw Clerks. As a fan that has been even in one Kevin Smith movie, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think I've been in 4 total. So yeah, let's keep the streak going. I'd be very honored to be in the next Jay and Silent Bob movie.
Weren't you playing in like a very small like background role in Dogma?
Yes, but to me it was a huge role because if you've seen the movie Dogma, I'm sitting next to Jay and Silent Bob
Yeah.
in the strip club when Salma Hayek comes out. So
Yeah.
listen, man, Salma Hayek, like, but Chris Rock is in that scene. Jay and Silent Bob are there, like all the stars are there. It was a pretty cool like first movie role for sure.
Yeah.
So. And I remember, yeah, that was cool. I got to meet Salma Hayek. She's very beautiful and she was very friendly. But I remember I got home and I got paid. They sent me a check for that too. So
Wow.
it was like such a super awesome experience. It was cool.
Yeah. And after the years of Comic Book Man ending, how was your comic book and toy collection going? Did the show ending and all the time that has passed affect it in any way?
So here's the great part. So after the show ended, I started going to Comic Cons. I started getting invited to Comic Cons. Now you don't go to a Comic Con without buying stuff. It's just you just don't. So my collection has expanded exponentially because every convention I go to, I try not to buy stuff, but inevitably, I buy something. So I'm kind of the good thing is I'm restricted only by what I can fly home with. Now,
Oh,
every so often I do ship things, but I try not to. But
yeah.
I have so much stuff now. It's crazy. I went from 1 lightsaber and now I have 9. My comic book collection is pretty awesome right now. The last thing I bought was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #3,
Oh, I
first
heard
printing,
that.
and I'm gonna get it signed by Kevin Eastman. Um,
Nice.
yeah, which is great because he was on the show. So I want him to sign that. But yeah, I have so many toys. It's insane. It's pretty crazy. I gotta. It looks crazy in here, so I probably have to cut back. But I can't help it, man. The toys and collectibles now compared to even like 10, 15 years ago, and definitely when I was a kid, they're way cooler now. They're way
Yeah, I
better.
get you.
Yeah.
Last but not least, what do comic books mean to you?
So without comic books changed my life, no doubt about that. Yeah, I got my first comic book when I was 6 years old. It's a copy of Avengers 214, and that got me into this really cool world that I could escape from. And I love reading comic books they were more fun than regular books. Regular books don't have any pictures in them. Regular
Yeah.
books are boring. Regular books don't have any superheroes in them. Regular books don't have heroes and villains and superpowers. So, growing up, I had a pretty good childhood, but you were always looking for something better, something more. And these characters gave me cool worlds, which expanded beyond my own world, where I thought was kind of boring. Also taught me about truth and justice and being a good person and saving the world from villains. So that, and just like the storylines were great. I just got exposed to so many great storylines. And then artwork, I learned to appreciate amazing artwork and the people who created them. So, at the forefront, that's what comic books mean to me. But without comic books, there's no comic book men.
Yeah.
There are no comic book shops. Like, these are places I hang out at as, for fun. This is where I met most, if not all, my friends were because of the comic book world. I think it would be a very dark and very unfun place without comic books, and I appreciate that. And it's pretty cool. So it's when you pick up a really cool comic book, maybe not a lot of people have read, you want everybody else to read it, so you tell everybody else about it. It's that kind of I like that kind of fandom where you introduce other people to something that may be obscure, but you want more people to read it. I just think comic books have spawned such a fun world. Cosplay and conventions and fan groups and the books and toys and all this stuff. I really think that comic books have made the world a better place.
Wow, that's a really great answer. So that's it for this episode of Mojito with Majeeto, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to subscribe and comment down below and follow Ming Chen and my social media as well. And Ming, do you have anything to say to the fans in the Middle East or USA watching? And do you have any quick comic book recommendation to give us?
Oh, yeah. First of all, thank you for watching. Majeeto is an awesome person.
Thank
subscribe, watch all the episodes in the past and in the future. Also, to all my Middle East friends, I hope I get to see you in person soon. I loved being in the Middle East. I hope I get invited. I know there are many conventions there in Dubai, Kuwait, there's one in Abu Dhabi, all of them. I hope I get invited to all of them and come to visit you in person one day. Read comic books, everybody. Anything I can recommend? I am going to recommend, pick up a copy of Avengers number 214. It's the first comic book I ever read. Really great storyline. The cover has Iron Man and Ghost Rider fighting. It's a really great cover. It's not going to cost you $5 maybe for a back issue in good condition. But to me, that one means a lot. So definitely pick that one up.
For sure. Well, I appreciate it so much, Ming Chen.